Don't know if you got a girl. Don't mean to disrespect, but all of you rule my world. I even dream of you, I swear. Visions of you and I. See you all around my way. Been meaning to say hi, but I'm just way too shy. I gotta make you see this is more than just a silly crush. And I wonder if you even notice me. You gotta feel me. Without you, good. Just wanna be your girl. All alone at night, I harbor feelings for you, holding my pillow tight. Sometimes I even touch myself, imagining your pleasure, baby. Next time I see you, I'm gonna walk right up to you and say what's on my mind. I gotta make you see this is more than just a silly cry. Wonder if you even notice me. You gotta feel me. Wherever you good, just wanna be your girl. Wonder if you even notice me. You gotta feel me. Wherever you good, just wanna be your girl. I wonder if you even notice me. Ooh, you gotta feel me. I would love you good. Just wanna be your girl. Wonder if you even notice me. You gotta feel me. Would love you good. Just wanna be your girl. Oh, I wonder. You gotta feel me.
Hello, everyone. It's 6:05. So I'm thinking we'll get going with our base member meeting for today. Um, as always, we're gonna start with a check-in question. So prepare yourself to receive that. Yeah, this month, we thought we would take some time to really dig into the theme of radical rest. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like everyone I know, including myself, is going through it right now. I know retrograde just ended, but there's still like the shadow period afterwards. So maybe that's what's doing this current yucky moment for most of us. So for our icebreaker, as usual, name, pronouns, and our question this month is just what's bringing you joy right now, big or small. Yeah. Feel free to unmute or use the chat, whatever feels comfortable for you. I will start. I'm Chisholm. I use he, him pronouns. And there was an anime I used to be really obsessed with a few years ago about a volleyball team, and then Netflix took it off before I could finish it. But then a few days ago, I saw that they put it back on. So I've been rewatching it, and it's nice to have something kind of silly to sink into when I feel like it. So that's my little nugget of joy. Um, yeah, feel free to share whichever way feels comfy for you. And we'll give space for that for a few minutes. I'll type it in the chat. It's so cute. It's so cute. Um, oh yeah, absolutely. I can do that. I love a good farmer's market. Spring is so good for that. Also, I want to ask about Freya, I want to ask about your trip destinations, if that's not too invasive. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm planning trips later this year. Going to be making one to Asheville and one
Sick.
to Kansas City, and even later in the year, one to Charlotte.
Nice. That sounds dope. I've never been to Asheville, but I've heard wonderful things. Also, yes, you should watch Haikyuu. It's like it's like so good and fun and silly.
I'm Rose, and my pronouns is he and Zer, and he and him. Some joys lately. I've been like messaging and going out with friends. Like this weekend, I went to a vegan festival. It was really cool because I got to see my friend who I hadn't seen in a while. And also, like the vegan festival is Caribbean centered, so they had good music, good vibes. The food was good. I had for the first time I had a vegan pizza muffin, which was really good, which I was surprised. 'Cause I usually don't like pepperoni, but it was good. And I also had a vegan Twinkie with like red velvet, which was also really good. So that brought me a lot of joy.
I love that. I feel like a really convincing vegan dupe is like wow, truly a miracle. Yeah, big time solidarity with all of the encampments across the country right now. Um yeah, it's a major moment and we're very lucky to have people who value it enough to take action. So absolutely. Um aw. Ooh, okay, so Spark exists right above Portrait Coffee and their matcha lattes. It's a problem because it's like I go to work and it's right there. So if you haven't been to, I don't know if you're Atlanta based. I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but if you are anywhere near Atlanta, maybe don't go there and like develop a further addiction, actually. Mm.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lo. I'm the community organizer with Spark, and my pronouns are she, her. One thing that brings me joy is the movie Joseph King of Dreams. It is a cartoon biblical movie that always brings me back to peace, um, and the support that I get from everyone, especially what I'm going through right now. But just people showing up for me and being there for me is what brings me joy.
Looks like we have a few folks who have joined pretty recently, so we'll give a couple more minutes, a couple more moments in case anyone wants to introduce themselves. In case you miss icebreaker, name, pronouns, and what is currently bringing you joy. Sunshine is such a major one right now. I've been so outside and not like in the colloquial sense, just like physically outdoors lately. And it feels really good. Um, if anyone else wants to answer the icebreaker question, oh, fantastic. Of course, of course. Um, yeah, I'm a big morning routine fan. Great for sanity. If anyone else does answer the icebreaker question, it's like breakout question, I'll like totally look at the chat, but I think we're good to transition into our bulletin items for this month. I'm gonna do bulletin items and then we're gonna hop into our agenda for today. As always, we'll do our 10-minute break from 7 to 7:10, within which you can do the sign-in sheet and snag your vouchers. And yeah, then we'll do a little closeout discussion for the last 20 minutes. But in terms of what Spark has going on right now, our policy and advocacy team have got some really cool stuff going on. Currently launching a fertility access campaign, and still going strong with our Fake Clinics Suck campaign. And if you're interested in either of those, we're seeking volunteers. As far as Fake Clinics Suck, you can sign this petition and our team will be able to see essentially like who's interested in helping out. I just dropped the link in the chat. And for either of these, the Fertility Access Campaign or Fake Clinics Suck, you can email our resident policy and advocacy person, Agbo, at agbo@sparkrj.org. Also just drop that in the chat. Yeah, let us know if you're down to get involved. We've also got a conference happening in November, our Justice Now 2024 conference, which is a cross movement, power building, power shifting national conference happening in Atlanta, bringing together all kinds of people, activists, artists, advocates, medical professionals, organizers, community members, whoever. And right now, early bird registration is open and ends May 16th. And we're also accepting proposals for workshops and panels and performances and art and roundtable discussions and such. So if you're interested in attending or proposing some kind of workshop or activity, feel free to contact us, and I'll drop the link to that website in the chat for anyone interested in more information on that. We also have an Artist Orbit event happening in May, and I will let Lo talk a little bit more about that.
Hey everyone. So yes, there's an artist orbit that is coming in May 24th. With the artist orbit, it's a basically writer's workshop or a digital artist workshop. And other forms of art where you can come in and have a space where you can just do it co-workably basically and with other people and have creative thoughts with the next phase. It's going to be in the afternoon. There's no registration. It's going to be at Spark's office. If you're in Atlanta, please come out and it'll be great.
Thanks, Lo. Yeah, that's all for our agenda. And we can hop right into I guess our bulletin, and we can hop into the agenda now. Like I said, we wanted to take this month to get into a discussion about radical rest and how important it is, especially for, the people, the populations that Spark serves, the population that tends to make up our base, those who experience different kinds of marginalization. And yeah, I feel like April has been a weird month for most of us. So I thought maybe we'd take it easy this go around. We're gonna start with an excerpt from a podcast featuring an interview with Trisha Hersey. If you aren't familiar, Trisha Hersey is a practitioner of a variety of forms. Over the course of 2 decades, she's accrued experience as a teaching artist, as a poet, as a theater maker, performance artist, community organizer. And if you know who she is, you probably know her as the founder and bishop of the Nap Ministry, which is a movement to understand the liberatory power of rest and frameworks of rest as both resistance and reparations. Her work explores and embodies the teachings of womanism and somatics and womanist theology and Black liberation theology, Afrofuturism, ancestral connection, lots of good stuff. So we're going to listen to a segment of this podcast where she talks about the force of rest as resistance and the role of rest in personal health, and the stakes that exist in that relationship. And then hopefully afterwards we can talk a bit about what was discussed, our reactions, and how it applies to our own lives.
I really want to dissect tenant number one, or talk more about tenant number one. Rest is a form of resistance because it disrupts and pushes back against capitalism and white supremacy. This book is so much more than encouraging people to take naps.
Oh my God. This is about more than naps. Thank you for saying that. I said so much. It is about way more. It's a paradigm shift. It's mind altering. It's culture shifting. It's a full on politics of refusal. We have been brainwashed by this system to believe these things about rest, about our bodies, about our worth. This violent culture that wants to see us working 24 hours a day, that doesn't view us as a human being, but instead views our divine bodies as a machine. And so when I think about the first tenet, and this idea of disrupting and pushing back, I've been taught my whole life that resistance looks like so many things. You know, it isn't one way. There's never just one way. There's infinite ways that we can find liberation. And so for me, when we are in a system that we're on that's under capitalism, that doesn't look at people as people, they look at profit, white supremacy, they don't see the divinity in all of us. And so these two systems working in collaboration, we can push back against them by, even if we're off the clock and saying no intentionally for 10 minutes, our insistence on being like, not today, you can't have me for these 30 minutes. This little small disruption. I'm thinking about my ancestors who slowed down production in cotton fields and who did this quiet quitting that's happening. You've been hearing about this idea of quiet quitting where people are going to work but not giving as much. Yeah. And so I feel like it's all in this same idea of disruption, of pushing back, of saying no.
Let's go back to our brainwashing.
Yes.
Because I 100% am a victim of this brainwashing, especially the thing that you talk about where, you know, we think that the more we do, the more worth we have. I am 100% guilty of that kind of thinking. So Trisha, how do I deprogram? How do I stop thinking that the more I produce, the more I do, the more I say yes, the more worth I have?
What I will say to you is that it's going to be slow. It is not going to be a quick tip advice that I can give you and just be like, this is going to work for you. It's really going to be a slow uncovering, a slow mercy and grace towards yourself. I tell people to rest through the guilt, rest through the shame, because to me, the guilt and shame is just beautiful evidence of your brainwashing. And give thanks for that, because you didn't even know you were brainwashed before. You know what I mean? You thought this was normal. You thought everybody around you, the whole entire culture is moving at this pace. And so take it slow, understand, be aware that it's happening, and then start to go deeper into the wells of yourself to begin to see what could help you heal. Like, this work is about listening and about connecting with the body. And so I love yoga. I love meditation. I love deep breathing, taking baths. I love walking, birding. I think all these ideas of what resting could be for us and how we can reimagine ourselves to be more human is really the key to this work, to like begin to disrupt the idea that you're a machine and that your worth is connected to your accomplishment. It's going to be a slow go. This isn't easy work. Like, this is some serious, real deep, dark shit. Like, this is dark.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Trisha, what are the health benefits from taking the time to prioritize rest, from napping?
Yes. You know, I talk a lot about my divinity degree, but I have an undergrad degree in public health and community health. So I know the beauty of looking at this message from the science of sleep. The CDC have named sleep deprivation as a public health crisis. 3 of the top diseases, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, can be linked back to sleep deprivation. And so when we aren't sleeping, our organs don't have a chance to regenerate. And then from a brain level, our brains are being truly traumatized by our lack of sleep and lack of a moment of pause. When we sleep, the brain is like bathed in this chemical that helps people to process trauma, and it helps you to remember, it helps your creativity, memory retention, and you're able to like really heal your body. So I tell people, maybe this work can't land in your mind and spirit from a political level. Maybe you can't right now jump on the whole spiritual idea of it, but just to look at what is happening from a health level, from biologically, from neurologically, what we're doing to our bodies when we're exhausted, when we're burnt out, over a sustained amount of time, it is killing us. It is causing more disease to take root in our bodies. It's not allowing us to live to our full potential.
All the women in my family, and this includes me, I'm raising my hand here, we are the type of people that if there is a moment where we can rest, we're wiping something, or we're cleaning a window,
Or organizing something.
we're
Yeah,
organizing.
like fixing
Exactly.
something. That's why my mom used to be. Yeah, definitely.
So for all those busybodies out there who they just have to be doing something in
Yeah.
order to feel alive, like
Yes.
how do we force our bodies to rest, to stop?
I think the idea of active rest, anything that can slow your body down enough that you can connect with your body and mind. I was taking dance classes and ballet and somatic dance classes when I was in graduate school, and I found that to be one of the most ultimate forms of rest. When I was learning how to spin and do turns and, moving my body. So I really thought that dancing was really a beautiful active form of rest for me. I love to walk. I love walking and being in nature. Just being able to like move your body in a way that is slowed down, it isn't being moved for the idea of labor. When I think about hobbies and how everyone is like monetizing their hobbies right now, and I'm like, no, that's capitalism
Right,
telling
yeah.
you that you need to like monetize crocheting. Like, my sister is a beautiful fiber artist, and she says to her that's the most meditative, restful state when she's crocheting blankets for people, and she refuses to sell them. She's like, if I do
It'll be
that,
stressful.
because then it will become capitalism, making it not fun, and she'll be rushed and feel urgent, and it's all linked back to trying to make money. She does it for the meditation, for the connection, and because she loves to do it. And so I think about that a lot.
There's this point you make in the book, which for me is so key. You say resting and recharging and rejuvenating is not so that we can grind more. It's not so that we can prepare ourselves to, give more output to capitalism. That is not actually what this is about.
Not at all. Not at all. People get it twisted and think that's what it's about, because
Of course they do.
it ain't about nap so that you can do more. Because a lot of corporations are pushing this idea. They're saying, have our employees rest more. You guys can have a nap room here so that you can be more productive when you come to work, so that we can pay less in health insurance premiums. So we're not resting to get ourselves more riled up to be on capitalism's clock. We're resting simply because it's our divine and human right to do so.
Please say that again, Trisha.
Yes, we are resting simply because it is our divine and human right to do so. Period. There's nothing else on the end of that sentence. It is the end of it. Most people I talk to are talking about productivity. They got to be productive. They got to be.
Yes.
You've been taught productivity by the curriculum of white supremacy and capitalism. Is that who your teacher needs to be? That's not my teacher. I'm not allowing that to be my teacher. I don't want to be under the guise of believing that I have to be productive in order to be deemed worthy. I am enough now.
Trish.
Right. I see we already have some sharing going on in the chat, which is wonderful. And yeah, I did want to just open some space for initial reactions, thoughts, feelings to what we've just listened to. Yeah, any initial thoughts, and then we'll get into the questions I've obviously pre-prepared. But yeah.
So I've actually been thinking a lot about this, because like in my case, I have bipolar disorder. So like when my manic stage, I'm very like hyper productive. Like I'm getting a lot done, too much done, not much sleeping. Versus in my depressive states, I'm sleeping a lot, not really getting as much done, not as much energy and motivation. And I notice how in like the manic states, how that's like celebrated and rewarded by society is like very concerning. They're like, oh, you're up at 8 in the morning. You're like, wow. And it's like, I didn't sleep. I've not slept for 48 hours. That's actually not a good thing. And it's like, when I think about in this context of how like what Trisha was saying about like capitalism and white supremacy is like it rewards this idea of like overworking ourselves and like harm to ourselves, because it's producing like for like this capitalist white supremacist system.
Yeah, I think a lot about how different kinds of like different manifestations of particularly neurodivergence that do wind up being compatible with the output that capitalism desires, and how that creates a lack of tending to people who are ultimately at the root, suffering with something, or who maybe don't desire to be overworking themselves, but often we're assessed based on how successful we're being. Yeah, so I think about that a lot. So I definitely relate to that. Um, yeah, any other thoughts?
I was gonna add some response. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Is your name pronounced Freya? Is that
Freya.
Freya? My apologies. Thank you for correcting me. I was gonna make
Okay,
have
it
a
gets
response.
sure. It gets pronounced all kinds of ways, so don't worry, you're in good company.
Okay, great. Freya, I was gonna respond. Like, I really like resounded with your like message about napping, because I had a job where I worked at when during my lunch break I would take a nap, and they literally and when we were doing like a job evaluation, performance evaluation, they actually marked me lower. And they were like, "Oh, well, taking naps is not a quality of a leader." And it was so bizarre to me. It was very bizarre because it was like during my lunch break in the break room, and people were like supposedly expressing concern for me, but really they were reporting me to my supervisor. And they're like, "Oh well, if like they're like, oh, if they're like that tired, they'd go to their car and sleep." And it's like, I don't have a car. Like that. It's like things like that don't actually make logical sense with different ways that people try to the system demeans and punishes people when they even take something as little as a nap that can be so meaningful.
If anyone has any other initial thoughts they want to share, feel free to jump in. But I did have some questions that I wanted to field to the group. The first one just being like how, and we've spoken to this a little bit so far, but how are these ideas about productivity and what we owe to capitalism, how is that showing up in our day-to-day lives? Yeah, like how is that actually actively affecting us in the present? I think for me, something I've had to rewire for myself is, and part this is partially a privilege of not working entirely fine. Meetings run long, that's totally fine. Hi, glad you're here. Um, oh, I'll catch you up actually. We just watched a video, which I can drop in the chat for you, um, discussing rest as resistance. And we're having a conversation now about those ideas. And the first question I wanted to field to the group is just like, how are the ideas that we owe ourselves to capitalism, the ideas that productivity is, the measure of personal success, how are those things affecting us in the present? Um, I'm personally thinking about like having to reframe um how I structure my time. And like I'm thinking about, oh, yeah, yes. Oh my goodness, yes. I have a major problem with every day I make an itinerary and there's always seven too many items on it. And because that's so consistent, despite the fact that I know this about myself, it really makes me think about how deep um the programming is of like what is expected out of a person in a day, and how that translates to what I believe I need to do to be productive or to be effective or to have had a successful day. Um, so yeah, I'm challenging myself a lot lately to just like make a to-do list and then take three things off. And not to be afraid to slow down, and move things around and reschedule if that's what makes sense. Um, any other thoughts on that topic? I'm also interested to hear how we feel these ideas interact with different identities. I think there's a really charged relationship, I think, specifically between Blackness and productivity, particularly within an American context, and within American history. Um, and I also think about the way that labor is gendered and invisibilized depending on gender. Yeah, so I'm curious what you all have to say about how these ideas interact with the identities that we hold.
I'd say like my identity as like as a black person, like at the office I was mentioning, where I basically got in trouble for sleeping on my break. It was I was one of the few black people working in the office. Um, and it was an office job, and then that was like a really big dynamic, like this presumed laziness of black people, and they'd also accuse me. It's weird. It's like they'd also accuse me like sleeping on the job is like I'm not sleeping, I'm literally working. And it's like there's always this accusation of me sleeping, even when I wasn't. It was very strange. But that goes into the deeper stereotype of like, oh, black people there's like the black people that were supposedly lazy, and which is really wild when you consider like, well, for people who are African American, like the history of enslavement, like that's literally being forced to labor for like how many centuries, and then that whole contradiction that's created about supposedly that like of like African Americans being lazy, and it's really wild.
Mm. Yeah, we were actually having a similar conversation at Spark. We do like a political education within the office every month, and we've been talking about rest this month, and we were talking about the kind of cyclical situation that happens with the idea of like Black laziness. Um, and because I don't think that white supremacy genuinely, sincerely, earnestly believes that Black people are lazy, because I think they have tested the theory and that has just not been correct. But on a personal, individual level, there can be a pressure to disprove stereotype. And unfortunately, wanting to convince ourselves or convince white supremacy or convince Black, convince our own communities or convince capitalism that we're worthy sometimes shows up as overworking, which is an unfortunate, byproduct.
I really appreciate this conversation, and sorry in advance because I'm fighting a cold, so I'm a little raspy. Uh, um, I really appreciate this, and I think there's something to say about some of the ways that like we, specifically speaking about Black people, and I'll even like take it like a degree of separation further. Black people in movement sometimes like repurpose a lot of the isms that we are trying to rid ourselves of in how we work with one another. It's very tiresome to be like, I want to X, Y, and Z to upend how I interact with white supremacy and then repurpose white supremacy in the workplace. This is a very tired dynamic to constantly reckon with like very little accountability. And I can say more on that.
Yes, I was just
But
gonna say, like, not to like pry, but I'm curious, like, within your experience, like within the context of movement work, like how do you feel like those ideas show up? Like what principles do you think are continuing to be borrowed?
I think like this is just my personal opinion because I know how the girls like to tussle. But I think like a friend was sharing with me a story on how they got fired, and without like all of the hoopla of like, of course sometimes we are misaligned and we have to adjust to misalignment. So I'm just speaking about this specifically. But the the person I'm speaking about lost both their parents in the span of a month. And so their work output just drastically changed overnight. And a person who went from being very productive, like very personally and like for lack of a like more aligned word, professionally connected to the work, to like I can't produce anything because I'm so depressed I can't fucking get out of bed. And so then for like still the movement solution to be to fire them, I'm like, how are we like choosing to like do things differently if we say we want a different world, if we say we want to, and that's just like one drastic example. And I'm sure folks in here can like speak to like less drastic examples of being isolated, being not offered opportunities, being not like considered for promotions, being not paid a livable wage. Like the list goes on and on. Being breadcrumbs, being finesse, like straight up finesse. But that is just like the jarring example that's in my head because I spoke to this friend recently. And I think the fact that like the solution was still to fire them, like I guess I don't know how that's different than like working at Google or working at Microsoft. Like I don't know. Or like working at somewhere that's like not within the movement. So just the way that we deal with one another sometimes feels eerily similar to the system that we are trying to like operate outside of, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so insidious and like hard to deconstruct. Yeah, Rogers, you have your hand raised. Really quickly, I'm gonna read, if that's okay with you, I'm gonna read the comments that have been left in the chat and then you can go off. Lo said, I think it's important to believe in the idea of setting a hard stop for yourself at the end of your shift. When we work in this industry, we often end up working for 10 to 15 hours and overloading our schedules. We love what we do, but it's crucial to remember that this is still a job. It's perfectly fine to stop working at the end of the day and prioritize new tasks in the morning. Take some time to decompress and refresh yourself. Iola said, as a neurodivergent person, I feel I struggle with expectations on how much I should work versus how much I can work in a given day due to daily challenges like time blindness, executive dysfunction issues, sensory issues, generalized anxiety. All these invisible aspects of myself are a daily challenge, and I get less working hours than most. And then being Black on top of it, with many people believing Black folks can't have mental conditions like ADHD or autism or social anxiety. It makes it hard to advocate for myself because I fear folks won't believe my challenges are real. Being self-employed helps, but it's definitely not easy. I feel that big time. Yeah, thank you both for sharing. And Rogers, feel free to unmute whenever you're ready. Sure, if I'll leave a message in the chat and oh, hi, Alyssa.
Hello.
So many thoughts to share. We're gonna hop into a Jamboard exercise soon. But yeah, anything else that's on anyone's mind on this topic? Or if anyone wants a reminder of the questions, let me know.
Two things. Like one, I think about like how people moralize the time of day people are awake. It's like, oh, morning people, they're getting all these things done. They're so productive, and it's like that. They sound like an ethical moral value, also tied like to capitalism. And then like night people, or people wake up later. So like they're signed like laziness. But and then that's still attached. So it's like, well, if they're gonna be up at night, you might as well. But you like if it's you get excused if you're at least doing a lot to try to make up for the fact that you're awake, quote unquote, late. So I think it's very strange because like it's the time of day people function at different times of the day, which it shouldn't have like a specific value to it. But it's very strange, like and that definitely goes towards the whole 9 to 5, middle class idea a function, and people are like, oh well, even when people how people talk about the workday is very much so centered on like people who are doing office work who are typically middle class. There's so many working class people who are working like either extremely early or like extremely late and don't fit into that 9 to 5 schedule that people think of, that some people tend to think of. And then two, I'll say the thing with like when you're talking about like movement and people who are social conscious or at least trying to be socially conscious, the different ways we do internalize or like perpetuate these like capitalist systems. I remember like I had a job where like my coworker talking about like oh like the colonialism and things like that, and like resisting the systems of oppression, and yet there was such a strong urgency culture in the workplace, like oh things have to be done like ASAP, as soon as possible, like right now, this needs to be done tonight, like and I'm like this is not sustainable, and they were working themselves to the ground, like they were like they'd be up really early, be doing like a bunch of physical labor, and I'm like y'all doing it, I'm not doing it. I am not working myself into the ground, and then I was depicted as the one who's like quote unquote lazy, and I'm like y'all are wearing yourself out, I will not be wearing myself out.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like glamour attached to self-sacrifice. which can be a difficult thing to contend with within like movements that are designed to protect, support, defend demographics that we embody. You know, it's like, is that, not only is that sustainable, but is it principled, really? It's, you know, it's a difficult question, especially when stakes feel high and when stakes are high, you know. Um, any other thoughts? I have this Jamboard link in my clipboard. I could paste it into the chat at any moment. It's not a threat, but okay, cool. So we have a Jamboard activity prepared by Lo. Thank you so much. With a couple questions aimed at guiding some imagination about like moving away from these more destructive frameworks around productivity. The first one being, what ways of seeking rest alone and in community feel available to you right now? I think it's important that we talk about communal options because I think the concept of, you know, self-care and self-tending can lead folks to feel solely responsible for their well-being in a way that is unfair when we think about how we aren't solely responsible for our you know, the things that we suffer with and the ways that capitalism harms us. So it's important, I think, to think about like how we can lean on our people to seek rest and to seek ease and care. Yes. So what ways of seeking rest alone and in community feel available to you right now? And in a more ultimate sense, how do you want a rest forward framework to change your life? What do you imagine your life looking like with rest at the center? How do you think you would change as a person? What hobbies would you adopt, etc.? Yeah, so we'll take um, a strong 8 minutes to do this jam board. I'm gonna play some tunes and then we'll transition into our 10-minute break in a little bit. Yeah. Let me know if anyone can't access it.
trying to get by. Some people like that hurt. Some just rather say goodbye. Bye. Hold on, wait a minute. Feel my heart's intention. Hold on, wait a minute. I left my consciousness in the sixth dimension. Left my soul in his vision. Let's go get it. Let's go get it. I ask for rainfall, I welcome cleansing. Waiting for the shadow to cross my face. Waited in silence to see reflections of grace when it takes shape. My body needs some healing. Let's shelter of this feeling. My body needs some healing. Didn't value the vessel, didn't realize the weight of it. The ship helped me sail through, straight to my own ground. My foundations were rocky, but we tread ground now. My body needs a healing. Let's shelter of this feeling. My body needs a healing. It's the chapter of this. My body needs a healing. Let's chapter of this feeling. My body needs a healing. It's the last chapter of this. Where I go, I don't watch for nobody. And what I give to you, I give to my body. My body needs a healing. The shelter of this feeling. My body needs a healing. Where I go, I don't watch for nobody. 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 Nobody.
Right, we are at the 7 o'clock mark. So we're gonna take our 10-minute break. Yeah, do whatever you want, but also make sure that includes the sign-in sheet. I'll keep playing some music. We'll see you back at 7:11. We're just linked like that.
And also, Chisholm, I want to add that the Uber Eats vouchers are at the end of the sign-up sheet. So remember that once you complete the sign-up sheet, the response will have the Uber Eats voucher link. Okay. And this link is $25 and it should last a full month.
Sick. Very, very, very important note. Yeah, see y'all back at 7:11.
They told me put my hands up behind my head. I think they got the wrong one. I'm sick and tired of running. I've been searching where the love went. I've been looking for the dove, and they told me if I move, they gon' shoot me dead. But I think I'm about to go to work. I've been waiting on the summer. So looking back and wondering how we pulled to keep from under. They told me put my hands up behind my head. I think they got the wrong one. I'm sick and tired of running. I've been searching where the love went. I've been looking for a dove, then they told me if I move, they gon' shoot me dead. But I think I'm about to go to work. I've been waiting on the summer. So looking back and wondering how we pulled to keep from under. They told me put my hands up behind my head. They told me put my hands up behind my head. I think they got the wrong one. I'm sick and tired of running. I've been searching where the love went. for a dub, then they told me if I move, they gon' shoot me dead. But I think I'm about to go to work. I've been waiting on the summer. So looking back and wonder how we pulled to get from under. They told me put my hands up behind my head. I think they got the wrong one. I'm sick and tired of running. I've been searching where the love went. I've been looking for a dub, then they told me if I move, they gon' shoot me dead. But I think I'm about to go to work. I've been waiting on the summer. So looking back and wonder how we pulled to get from under. They told me put my hands up behind my head. Baby, I'm coming home to your tender, sweet loving. You're my one and only woman. The world needs a bitter taste in my mouth, girl. You're the only one that I want. Wanna be around. Wanna be wanna be around, girl. Ooh, wanna be around. Baby, I would be grieving if you wanted to leave me all alone by myself. I don't want nobody else. The world needs a bit of taste in my mouth, girl. You're the only one that I want. Wanna be around. Wanna be around, girl. Wanna be around, girl. Ooh, wanna be around. Baby, 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 I'm coming home to your tender, sweet loving. You're my one and only woman. The world needs a bit of taste in my mouth, girl. You're the only one that I want. Wanna be around. Wanna be around, girl. Wanna be around, girl. Ooh, wanna be around, girl.
It's 7:11. I'm gonna give folks a second to file back in. Feel free to engage the chat or activate an emoji to let me know you're back. Ooh, we've got some folks back in chat, seems. Cool. I'm gonna share my screen and we can talk through some of the shares. Okay, we can start with these three. Taking intentional bath. I do this a lot. And so definitely get on that. It's like actually so great. Um, Setting the mood with candles, incense, bubbles, and a book. I will say it's a little difficult to like manage the book part in the bath. But it's doable. So go for it, I would say. Um, Taking trips, saying no. Um, yeah. I think saying no is like maybe the very, very root of like a rest-based framework. Or maybe saying yes is the root. I can't tell. Um, what ways of seeking rest alone in a community feel available to you right now? Someone said meditation, going for short walks, listening to relaxing music. Friends and I checking in with each other about taking our meds. Nice. Checking in with my best friend and making sure we are both getting proper rest and taking our meds. It's a popular one. Um, Being able to hang out with my pets and family every day, lying down in the sun is always free. And I usually start alone, but usually my friends end up outside with me somehow. I've been doing a lot of that specifically lately, and it feels really good. Um, yeah. And it's free, which is great. Um, we also asked the question, how do you want a rest forward framework to change your life? One person said, being able to take short naps after work. Um, I would like to not feel guilt if I'm not being productive. I would like this to help me stop feeling guilt for the things I told myself I would do, allowing more time to focus on myself. I want to stop feeling guilty for being so tired. Sleeping and eating become not only a routine for basic needs, but moments of enjoyment. Yeah, that difference makes such a difference. Thank you guys for participating in our jam board. If anyone wants to say more about what they shared, or just share any other thoughts, yeah, feel free to unmute or hop in the chat, to do either of those things. I'll, feel free to interrupt me if you change your mind. But yeah, no pressure on that end. It's 7:16. I don't see any reason why we. Oh, hi. I maintain a mailing list for petitions and articles pertaining to women's and LGBTQ issues. It goes out every few days. If anyone would like to join, please send me your email. What a fantastic offering. Yeah, you can always message people directly in the chat. So if anyone feels compelled to do that and share their email, yeah, feel free. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for hopping on to our base member meeting. Stay on if anyone has questions for me. I know I was speaking to someone in chat about circling back on something. But yeah, thank you guys so much for your time and for engaging in our discussion. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Sleep well, rest well. Um, yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you needed anything from me.
Yes, I'm like frantically sending messages to folks, seeing if there's anything I can do for you. Hoping to get a response for you soon. Also, if anyone else who's still hanging out has a question or anything, feel free to share that. Yeah, let me see if I can get some info for you. Secondary question. If I can't get you an answer before the end of this call, what is another way I could reach you?
My email address, and I can give you that, or like my cell, or I'm like
Okay.
in the signal.
Oh, Signal's great. Okay. Yeah. Is your name the same on Signal?
Yeah.
Okay, wicked. Let me just find you. Okay, sick. I've sent all the messages to all of the people. And hopefully I can get you an answer by tonight.
Okay. Was there something? Did I do something wrong?
I don't think so. I mean, like, I assume you did the sign-in sheet?
Yeah. And then I clicked the link, and it said that there was none left.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a you problem. If I had to guess. Yeah. I'm gonna message an additional person. Um,
Okay. Well, if it's helpful for me to, so- sorry, if it's helpful for me to stay here, I can.
no,
Uh,
you're totally fine. You're totally fine. Yeah. You can absolutely log off. And I will do my best to get you an answer tonight, hopefully tonight. But otherwise, I know our thingies tend to expire after like quite a bit of time. So, yeah. Uh, hopefully tonight, but I'll definitely be able to speak to some folks tomorrow, if not.
okay. All right. Well, sounds good. I'll just, I guess, wait on that.
Yeah, sorry about that. That's like such a bummer. That's really annoying.
Yeah,
Um,
no worries.
yeah, for sure. Okay, seems like similar situation with another person. Um, also, feel free to go. Like, I don't mean to be like holding you here. Hi, Newton. How might I be able to contact you outside of this call? Gotcha. Fantastic. Cool. I'm Yeah, I'm gonna talk to some folks. I sent out some messages about the issue. And if I can't get an answer by tonight, I'll speak to some folks tomorrow and email you a response. So sorry about that. That's such a bummer. But thanks for letting me know. If you don't have any other questions or info for me, I'll go ahead and close the Zoom. But yeah, thanks so much for flagging that. Um, yeah, definitely get back to you on that. Ideally, I've got meetings with folks tomorrow, so I should be able, if I can't get an answer tonight, um, ideally I'll be able to respond about the situation tomorrow. Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Okay, cool. I'll see y'all next month.